Scott from somewhere asks by email, "Hi Jared, just looking for some information about the lapping plate you've got listed on eBay." So this is my special straight razor specific lapping plate, which is 9 by 11 inches, and it has an elliptical concavity put into it, so that when you put a piece of sandpaper on there and rub your hone on there, you get the top surface to be like a wheel, which in turn will make your bevel on your razor, instead of a perfect triangle, it'll be hollow ground, because believe it or not, that is actually how they're supposed to be. Scott asks, "I am just a little confused about bevel setters versus finishing stones. I know the bevel setters are lapped parallel to the short axis." Let me explain what that means. Here is a 9 by 11 inch piece of sandpaper. This happens to be 150 grit, but for your bevel setter, you're going to want the coarsest thing you can get your hands on so you can carve that puppy quicker. And on this axis, which is 9 inches across, the curve is a lot more intense than on this 11-inch axis where you could barely see it. So you put the paper on the plate. You take your bevel setting stone. This is a 1,000 grit water stone, which has already been shaped. But let's imagine that we were starting with this surface like this. You face the plate, the stone, toward the short axis of the plate. So you don't face it this way, you face that way. And you rub like that until this intense curvature gets put into the top surface of your stone. All right, so I'm a little confused about bevel setters versus that. I know the bevel setters are lapped parallel to the short axis. Should the stone be moved lengthways along the 11-inch side, or short back and forth on the 9-inch side? Same with the finishing hone, just the opposite. So what he's asking is, when I'm lapping the plate, when I'm lapping the stone, do I go like this, or do I go like this? The answer is, you could do anything you want, you just can't change the orientation of the stone relative to the surface that you're lapping it upon. So you can go with figure eights, you can go up and down, you can go side to side, you can go little circles. As long as you're not changing this relationship and the line on the side of the stone stays square to the line of the axis that you're shaping it on, you can do anything you want. So what I recommend when you're lapping is to first go this way and then put some pencil back on your stone again and go like this until the pencil's gone, and then put some pencil on your stone again and then do figure eights until the pencil's gone, and then maybe flip it around and do another figure eight, because you'll get a lot of false positives where the pencil grid is gone but the stone isn't perfectly formed. And if you shape it over and over again from different approaches toward the abrasive, you can trust that your surface is a true wheel surface like what you see here. The surface of a water stone fragments and moves around, and that can remove some pencil, creating a false "it's done" lapping. Okay, the next question. Can I do a 2-stone progression, and what is the point of 2 different radii? Yes, you can do a 2-stone progression. So when you shape toward the 9-inch axis of the plate, you make a short diameter down the length of the stone, wide diameter across the length of the stone shape on your hone. And that is good for setting the bevel. It will cut into the back of the bevel, away from the actual tip of the razor. When you shape this way, it's going to make a very long diameter stone with a shorter second diameter. This is my Arkansas stone. It's 10 inches by 3 inches. You could barely see any gap there between it and the ruler thing. But when we do this one, obviously the gap is very easy for you to see. Now going across the stone, it's the inverse. On this one, you can't really see that gap, but if you hold it like this and look, you could see it. Whereas going across this stone, let's see, like that, it's pretty easy to see the gap that way, isn't it? Because this shape across is the same shape as this one going down. And this one going across is the same shape as that one going down. Because when I shaped this one, I faced the long way on the plate. And it took 4 months because this is an Arkansas stone and it's big. Don't go crazy, all right? Just use the water stones. It's a whole lot better. The question, can I do a two-stone progression, and what is the point of the two different radii? Yes, you can do a two-stone progression. So your first shape would be this one, and your second shape would be that one. Your first shape would cut into the back of the bevel, and the second shape would go to the tip of the bevel and make that a longer tip. And what is the point of two different radii? It's all the same point that a razor is hollow ground with multiple shapes. So look at an actual straight razor. I have an old picture I'll inlay in this video. And you could see from the spine, the intensity of the diameter is a lot more than when you get toward the bevel, where the effective diameter of the wheel shapes that were used is a lot longer. Why don't they just use one shape? They use multiple shapes because that combines flexibility and strength better than just having one shape. If you just have one shape, it would be not as flexible at the tip with the same amount of strength. Whereas if you start with a very intense diameter to the back and finish with a longer diameter, you can have the same strength as if you had one shape, but you can have a lot more metal missing from the razor, which allows it to flex around more, which is a very important feature when you're shaving. And all that same logic extends within the bevel itself. If the bevel has multiple shapes within it, the bevel will be able to be flexible at the tip while still not breaking off as you use it. And that's the goal. The flexibility is the important part. Also, do you just use the center, or are the plates the same radius down the length? Well, the plate is an ellipse, an elliptical shape that's been impressed into a 1/2 inch thick piece of aluminum. So we started with a perfect aluminum shape that was a 1/2 inch thick, 9 by 11 across. We dipped the top with an ellipse shape, and you can see more of the ellipse in the center, but it's the same ellipse shape across the whole thing. So you can use your whole 11 inch surface, 9 by 11. You got 99 square inches on there. It perfectly matches the common 9 by 11 sandpaper. Well, very technically, the sandpaper goes down and comes up, so the sandpaper takes up a longer shape than 9 by 11, so it doesn't perfectly align with the edges. There's a little bit missing, but you get the idea. Yeah, so use your whole shape, go everywhere on there, just never have yaw. And yes, you do want two shapes to your bevel. I would start with 3 shapes for using concave honing. So I would shape to the short axis and use that as your bevel setter. You stay on that until the whole bevel is starting to be overtaken by that aggressive shape. And then you switch to the long axis, short diameter shape for bevel refinement. That'll go right to the tip of your previous work, and it will make the razor so thin at the tip you can switch to a flat, hard, fine finisher for just a few strokes, maybe 20 laps on a common 3x8 waterstone is more than sufficient, and that will put a little triangular thing at the front of a very narrow shape of bevel behind it. Okay, so that will give you the durability of the flat bevel with the flexibility of the concave bevel. But ultimately, the very best shaves will come from not using any flat shape at all the way through the process. But I must warn you, that is physically challenging to do now and forever. Hey, thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye-bye.